From mountain to monster slayer, here's your look at the brand new McFarlane Toys Demon Slayer Tanjiro Kamado. A kind-hearted boy who loves his family, Tanjiro joins the Demon Slayer Corps in order to turn his sister Nezuko, who has become a demon, back into human, as well as avenge the death of his family by hunting down the demon who killed them. He has an acute sense of smell, which enables him to identify the weak spots in demons and other opponents he battles. This 7-inch scale Tanjiro figure is designed with McFarlane's signature ultra articulation, with up to 22 moving parts for full range and posing. Just to make sure that everybody is warm in the room, I've got some coal burning in the background. Before we get a closer look at the brand new Demon Slayer Tanjiro Kamado, I'd like to first thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample we're about to have a look at. Grabbing the old tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. And if I can unravel it, this thing's been twisting a lot on me lately. Yes, you're looking though at Kamado being about 5.5 inches in height, or the figure's going to be about 15 centimeters tall. Marking now the second figure we've looked at from the brand new Demon Slayer line, we are going to move over Tanjiro because we're about to have a look at him. And providing he still is going to stand, we're also going to bring in the earlier looked at Zenitsu. Now you can see in the case here of Agatsuma along with Kamado, they're about the same size of figure to one another. You could say, if anything, if you're really going to nickel and dime this, that maybe Tanjiro is just a little bit taller just because of the spikes on the back of his head. Like with the earlier looked at Zenitsu, the figure comes included with a display stand, comes included as well with a Nichiren sword, a pair of swapped out hands. But what's done differently though with this release of Tanjiro is that the figure also comes included with an effect that attaches onto the end of the sword. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Backing it up just a little bit, the figure, like I said, does come included with the same display stand as what we looked at earlier with Agatsuma. The stand itself, once again, does have the Demon Slayer logo printed down below, and again, just off to the side, you've got one standalone peg. You know where that's going to go. Yes, to the bottoms of Tanjiro's boots. Oh, actually, only really one of them. Can't put it on both. Move that to the side. The figure also comes included with a pair of closed fists. These are always the hardest things to hold with my own larger hands. The hands themselves, one thing I did want to draw to your attention, if I can just reach off to the side and bring in the ones that we got here, these seem to be use the same hands as the ones we got before with Agatsuma, so it looks like they're probably just reusing the same closed fist, which is fine. If the skin tone does match, even if the skin tone doesn't really match, you could just simply use the mold again. Why create brand new molds for a pair of closed fists I'm never going to be using anyways? The figure, like I said, though, does also come included with the Nichiren sword. The sword in this case does have a black blade, and then it has a black guard and black hilt. In fact, the only thing that is added a little bit of color is the silver on the end of the hilt. Not to mention, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's some darker burgundy accent added to the hilt as well. To compare the swords, this is the one that we got before with Zenitsu. Zenitsu's is a thinner blade sword. It also is a lot longer than the one that comes with Tanjiro. This does fit into his hands fairly well, in fact. And again, even though you're only relegated to single hinge joints on the elbows, it's more than enough, in fact, to actually have the hands being holding, I would say, both the hilt at the same time, if you want to wield the sword with both hands instead of just the single. I did mention, though, that there's an effect that comes included as well with the figure. Just going to put that to the side. The effect, I think, is a water effect. It's done here in a translucent blue plastic. It does look really, really nice. Although the thing about it, though, I've noticed at least, is if you take it, I don't know if you can see there's alternating clips. One kind of curves this way, one curves this way, and just alternates that way. I guess that's not 100% true. These ones down below here curve this way. The one at the top, or this one right here, curves the opposite way. Does it really matter? I don't think it really matters. Anyways, we're just going to slide the sword into that. You have to kind of line everything up here just to make sure that the blade is lined up perfectly to fit over the effect. It looks sort of less like a water effect, and it kind of looks like he's waving a flag. Either way, though, it's nice to include this as just an above and beyond piece. I didn't get that all the way in there. There we go. That was a lot easier. It is a nice accompanying piece as well. I might just end up just leaving it off, I think, when it comes to displaying these figures on my shelf. But I do appreciate the fact that McFarlane's team, once again, included these accessories along with the figures for their journeys. Put that to the side. I guess there really isn't a place right now for the Nichiren sword, so we're going to put that also to the side. Getting, though, a closer look at Tanjiro. The figure itself is really nicely done here. Down to the smallest of details, down to the little tiny earrings, for example, you can see are painted well in silver, white, and red. has the scar there off to the side that Tanjiro obviously braces the brother, I think it's the brother, as the kettle of water, hot boiling, scalding water, spills and leaves the scar behind. That's made his trademark mark that he has on the top of his forehead. The coloring is really quite good on this. The eyes themselves are kind of more of a reddish, kind of burgundy color. Well, of course, you got the darker scar being not quite the same color as the hair, so it doesn't look like they just simply reused the paint again. It does look like it's a little bit of a darker shade, maybe a little bit more red to the scar itself. I like the sculpting of the hair as well. I think at some point, Tanjiro also does have a ponytail. This happens to be the one that has the shorter hair. I do like the sculpting of the hair, though, quite a bit. Once again, we get a neutral expression. I do hope at some point down the road we get some more Demon Slayer figures. Maybe we have a little bit more of an exaggerated expression. Something more, I don't know, just a little bit more personality on the face. Because again, like just a very neutral head sculpt, a closed mouth, very large eyes again. But I really would love to see these guys get, even at some point, if they could release these same figures again, get, of course, the most mileage out of their molds, just with a gold label edition release, maybe, for example. And then that maybe would get the chance to shine for a Tanjiro Kamado. Kamado, where you actually get a swapped out head sculpt with a little more of an expression than what we get right here. The jacket itself is, again, a softer plastic, similar to what we saw before with Agatsuma. It's kind of, again, a softer rubbery material that they've used. So there's a little bit of give to it. Again, I love the checkerboard look of the alternating blacks and very light mint green. And that paint, actually, I would imagine it's been painted, not necessarily, it could have very well been printed in the factory, but either way, all of the squares very cleanly printed. It doesn't look like there's any bit of mess. Things like that where you have to have exact shapes carried over again and again and again and again. There's always an opportunity when things like that happen for paint to be a problem, and it doesn't seem to be the case at all when it comes to the jacket. Underneath the jacket, if you were able to roll up the sleeves, and obviously while the jacket here is a softer plastic, the hard sleeves, though, is very rigid plastic. There's nothing going to be in the way of rolling up sleeves there, but you can see that there's a shirt underneath, a continued sleeve to, of course, the outfit that he wears underneath that. The colors are similar, I would say. Let's just bring in Zenitsu here so you can see the difference. They're very similar in color. In fact, I would probably safe to say that they're the exact same color of brown that they've used between the two. The belts are also shared the same of the white, the silver there, also in the snaps, the buttons there, and again, the collars are matching the same as well. The only thing, again, that's different is the boots down below and the jackets, again, that they're sporting. I would be also safe to say that they likely have used the mold again. Underneath the jacket, obviously, is just a softer plastic anyways. Oh, this part is softer plastic. So there's nothing really to say that they couldn't have simply just used this mold and this mold carried over from the earlier looked at Zenitsu. Overall, again, nice looking figure. Paint is really, again, consistently good on all of the figures that we looked at so far. We still have to look at Nezuko Kamado, so the sister we'll be looking at in an upcoming review, so stay tuned for that. But for the articulation here for Tanjiro, the head does rotate again the same as what we looked at before with Zenitsu. It seems to be on a ball joint, and the head, again, I was really surprised to see how well it moves. It doesn't move as far back, that's as far back as I can really get it, but it does look down quite a lot more than I was expecting. Head does also rock back and forth as well. For the shoulders, they allow the arms at least to rotate all the way around. You can bring the arms out, I would safe to say, at 90 degrees. That's what 90 degrees, isn't it? Rotation at, again, the forearm. Once again, you're only getting a single hinge on the elbow, but that's more than enough to at least wield the sword with both the hands. Hands rotate, speaking of which, all the way around. You can hinge them also back and forth. The figure has an upper torso ball joint. The figure further down from that has a abdomen ball joint, so you can rotate that all the way around as well. And it seems to be the case still that they're using ratcheted joints for the legs, so that's going to ensure that the legs are going to be nice and tight. Longevity. Longevity. Bring the legs forward. Yes, you can bring the legs back as well. Still, they are using the softer plastic here for the lower half of the body, just below the waist. It does result in sort of this feeling very soft, obviously. But it keeps the shape, again, consistent with the tops of the legs. It doesn't look like it sticks out further than the sides of the legs, so it doesn't look like it is wearing necessarily the figure diaper. Something that people like to have coined. Again, for the knee articulation, cleverly hidden here. You don't see it from the front. You only see it really from the side. There's the peg joint right there. That allows the knees, at least, to bend backwards. And you can a little bit rotate it back and forth. Not really a lot, though. Feet, again, articulation here for Tanjiro. The feet move up and down this way. You can rock them back and forth. And the figure does also have, once again, toe articulation. Nice looking figure. I feel like in a case like this, if you are going to be getting yourself Tanjiro, you're probably also going to be wanting to get his demonic sister, which again, we will be looking at her in the upcoming review. But again, just to bring back in the two figures where we left off so far. Two figures down. We looked at first Zenitsu Agatsumo. Now we're looking at Tanjiro Kamado. And of course, then in the upcoming review, we're going to be looking at Nezuko Kamado as well. So definitely lots of Demon Slayer stuff coming your way. If you are big fans of the anime series, and you certainly would like to get your hands on these as well, as far as I know, they are available right now in retail stores and online if you wanted to grab these for your collection. As we are wrapping up things, I'm about to close shop for the night. One thing I did want to make as a correction to the earlier mentioned talk about for the sword is I did say that the blade was all black. Anybody clearly could see that that's a dark gunmetal gray. I don't know why I said it was all black. I think one thing we can all agree upon at least is that the sword that Tanjiro wields with both his hands is clearly a darker handled sword than the one we got included with Agatsuma. Agatsuma's was very bright with silver, yellow, and again, like the cool little squiggly lines of yellow added to the blade, where we get, again, more blacker blade here. Virtual star to anybody that may have commented on that loudly. This guy clearly needs to get his eyes checked. This guy clearly needs to get his eyes checked. When it comes to certainly down to the details here of Tanjiro, it's a nice overall looking figure. One may still look at this and think that the figure's limited when it comes to the articulation, and I think, to be fair, while there may have been an opportunity to add some additional articulation, maybe to the elbow area, most figures you may think may be able to wield a sword with both the hands, but not always the case. No way. There are a couple of figures that I've actually had a look at here on this channel that for all intents and purposes should have been able to wield the sword with both the hands, and then you can't get the hands wrapped around to the front. Tanjiro, while still only having a single hinge in both his elbows, still is able to wield the sword with both his hands. Virtual star heading his way. I don't know if I will be adding the swoosh effect. One thing, of course, that came included with this figure that wasn't coming included with Zenitsu. While it's a nice effect to come included with this figure, I just think, first of all, something I didn't also mention in this review, is it does add a lot of extra weight to the elbows. Not that the elbows, my elbows at least, are fine as far as I know, but the elbow, at least on the left side of Tanjiro's arms, was a little on the looser side, and I noticed every time I tried to put the swooshing effect onto the blade, it did end up weighing the one arm down. Now, obviously, that will be fixed if you have him wielding both hands onto the blade, but I may just leave it off altogether. While I appreciate the fact it was something that was included with the figure, I think I would much rather just display him the way I've got him displayed right now, without adding some additional bulk and weight to the figure's display. Big thank you once again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the brand new Demon Slayer Tanjiro Kamado. The figure's blade, by the way, was a dark gunmetal gray. Virtual, you know what? Virtual star to everybody. Thank you for everybody coming to this on a regular basis. Virtual stars. I'm just throwing them around like I got an endless supply. Hey, that's what happens when they're virtual. I've got an endless supply of virtual stars. If you guys enjoyed this video, by the way, want to hit with a like. Why not? If you guys are enjoying the content you guys are seeing, enjoyed the review of Tanjiro, and certainly looking forward to seeing the review of Nezuko Kamado. Definitely that review will be right around the corner, so stay tuned for that. But make sure in the meantime, of course, that you're hitting that subscribe button down below, that you're making sure in the meantime that you're turning on the bell notification, and making sure in the meantime, after these reviews are finished, go back to the main page, see if there's anything you may have missed along the way. Always posting content regularly, so there's a good likelihood you have missed out something, and not only will you get the chance to go back and see those videos that you may have missed, but along the ways you may also be picking up some virtual stars. I've just got them scattered all over the place right now. Lots of videos coming your way, guys, so as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.